Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is April 16th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. Check it out. This is a ridge out here off the west coast of North America, extending all the way up and across the Gulf of Alaska and towards the west coast of British Columbia as well. And we've got our backdoor cold front making its way down across Alberta, some of the higher terrain of British Columbia as well. You can see some of the clouds associated with it. But for the most part, it's not going to have much of an impact on places like Seattle, Portland, Vancouver. It's a bit precipitation start. I'll show you some of what is to be expected with this frontal system as it moves through. And with this ridge out here, especially in the wake of this system, we are going to turn things offshore and we're going to warm up here for a few days before we bring yet another trough down across the interior region and start to bring the onshore flow back and start to bring some precipitation chances as we go through this upcoming weekend. We'll dive into all those details here as we go through the video this morning. This is what we're looking at right now. You can see that some of that marine layer in towards the Chehalis Gap. There's the Olympic Mountains right there. Chehalis Gap is an area of lower terrain here where we get winds that can funnel through there, and the marine layer likes to make its way in there and towards the Puget Sound sometimes. You can also see it looks like some of the rainforest out there is blanketed, and you might be coming out into some sunshine along Highway 101 out there, and you can see some of that marine layer all the way down in towards the coastal region of Oregon and pushed up against the Cascades there as well. But you can also see some of the clouds associated with that trough and that cold front moving down across the region as we go through the day today. So also going to kick off some strong winds as we go through the day today. I'll show you more on that here in a moment, especially through the Okanagan River Valley here, north central Washington state. So taking a look at the apparent temperature right now, this is Zulu time right here. So if I subtract 7 from that, we've got about 7 a.m. is when these temperatures are recorded. And you can see the apparent temperature for Seattle is 45 degrees. Not too bad out there right now, but you see some of the higher terrain, taking wind chill into account, is still pretty chilly. It's still just springtime here across the Pacific Northwest. Of course, looking at lightning strikes over the last 24 hours, excuse me, you can see we did have a few across Alberta out there, but nothing for Washington, Oregon, Idaho, or British Columbia. And this is probably going to change as we go through the day today. Some of this is going to try to move down towards the Idaho Panhandle, maybe moving into portions of Washington and Oregon, but just, again, a few strikes, kind of very isolated shower activity. And I wanted to bring attention to this. So this goes through this morning. Just keep this in the back of your mind. If you're still out there clamming today, this is supposed to kind of be wrapping up this morning here, but don't turn your back on the ocean. Some of these sneaker waves could still be out and about as you're out there on the day today. So gusty winds on Wednesday. That is today. So look at this OMAC 45 to 50. And again, there's the Okanagan River Valley right here. You can see Republic, some gusty north winds and impacting portions of Highway 2 and I-90 as well. Moses Lake gusting up towards 40 miles per hour, Smithville 35, Spokane 35. Some blustery, gusty winds down there towards Lewiston as well. So watch out if you're across some of the lake areas. And you got to watch out if you're also out there burning. I forgot to mention that. The fire spread is real, so watch out there. If you're out there burning, that wind could be picking up and get things out of control for you. Of course, watch out for the crosswinds if you're driving some of those high-profile vehicles. And this is the same system associated here, Missoula, Montana National Weather Service, talking about some of these gusty winds for the Idaho Panhandle and western Montana. So heads up for that on the day today, all the way on in through tonight. And if you want to check this out, you can also attend one of these Skywarn Weather Spotter classes. This is Boise National Weather Service. You got to go, if you go ahead and Google Boise Skywarn Weather if you want to check that out. I haven't looked up the link yet, but I know it's not on the National Weather Service page. That link doesn't go anywhere. So yeah, check that out. Boise National Weather Service Skywarn virtual spotter classes. You can do these online and you can see the dates associated with those classes there. And speaking of your own home weather station here, you can get your own for a very nice price. Click on the link down below to save 10% off. It's got all kinds of fun stuff. There's all kinds of third-party things you can do at the station as well. It's easy to set up. It broadcasts live, updates every 3 seconds. You view it on your smartphone. The smartphone app is great. So click on the link down there if you want to support the channel and you want to get one of those for yourself. And if you want to support the channel in other ways, you can check out the Patreon page, or you can just get the updates here on my daily weather videos as they come out. So taking a look here, this is that ridge we saw in the infrared satellite imagery. There is that polar lobe taking a swing at some of the Pacific Northwest there on the eastern periphery of that ridge. And then we stay warm here through Thursday and Friday. Are going to be quite warm for places like Seattle, Portland, Southwest BC. I mean, some nice early season warmth. But then we bring this trough down. This one is a bit closer, and that's going to kick the onshore flow, a little bit of mountain snow. We're going to drop the temperatures back down and return some precipitation here towards the region. But also, as we go on in through next week, might not be too bad as well. It shows things not being too wet and probably some dry days next week also. So taking a look at 80-meter wind speed. So here we are this morning. You can see the winds are picking up. Again, there is that Okanagan River Valley Gap. Look at some of these winds just driving down out of the north, stretching across eastern Washington, pushing into eastern Oregon as we go on into this afternoon and evening tonight. So watch out for those strong northerlies coming down across the region. You can see them. Let's back this up. You can see them coming down as we go through this afternoon for Boise and some of Treasure Valley there out there across Idaho. So yeah, heads up for that. Some gusty winds off the coastline as well, and that would be about Thursday morning. The NAM the 3 km is not done running just yet. Let me see if it goes out a little bit further there. But if you notice that also, when these north winds stretch down across eastern Oregon, they start to push out across the Cascades. We get some of this offshore flow, as we're still going to have a little bit of that semblance of the thermal trough along the coastline Thursday and on into Friday before we start our cool down as we head towards the weekend, or for the weekend. Friday is still going to be pretty warm here across the area. So looking at 925 millibars, about 2,500 feet, you can see the strong north winds coming down across the region aloft today. And if things turn offshore a bit, there you can kind of see the easterly component there just off the surface. And then as we go on into the weekend, look at Saturday. We really reversed that wind direction. It's coming out of the west now, straight to Georgia, straight to Juan de Fuca, Chehalis Gap, east slopes of the Cascades. Things are all going to turn westerly as this trough is going to be bringing that onshore flow, additional rounds of precipitation, some convergent zone activity here for the higher terrain, and there could be some targeted areas across the Cascades that pick up some significant snowfall as we go through the weekend coming up here. It's going to kind of be isolated, but yeah, it's probably going to happen. I'll show you more on that here in a moment. Now, taking a look here, again, precipitation amounts. You can see not much for Washington, Oregon with the backdoor cold front, but then we scroll off in towards the weekend, and you can see that frontal system kind of swoop through there, and the onshore flow continue as we go on into the weekend, into the early portion of next week, maybe. But then it looks like we're probably going to dry out at some point as we go through next week as well. Lightning flash density potential. The European keeps things across some of the Idaho Panhandle and western Montana there. Maybe some of the higher terrain of Idaho and Montana as well if you go a little bit further east. But you can see no thunderstorm activity here for Washington, Oregon just yet. But as we go through Sunday, we'll watch some of that convergent zone activity there as well. We'll check that out for the next couple of days. Here we go. The North American model shows something interesting this afternoon. Check this shower activity out here, pushing down across some of the east slopes of the Cascades towards the Dalles. And there's also a couple interesting showers there near Spokane. Those could be lightning producers across northeast Washington. So if you see those dark clouds building, be prepared for that. And then you can kind of see that cold front push down across the Intermountain West. And then we wait to see what the weekend trough will bring. Looking at the HRRR, I'll put this into motion, and you can see it does clip the Idaho Panhandle, but it really doesn't show much. It kind of shows a little blurb there, but it's not showing much in the way of thunderstorm activity getting into Washington, Oregon. So a little bit of model discrepancy there. But also watch out for this on Thursday afternoon. Blue Mountain, some of the higher terrain of Idaho, Lewiston out there, some of the higher terrain of eastern Washington. You got to watch out for that. Still associated with that upper level low moving off to the east. Now, if we take a look at mean sea level pressure, so you can kind of see the ridge setting up here as we get a warm Thursday and Friday across a lot of the area, but then we get that next trough, kind of a subtle looking low pressure feature there, but the high pressure out over the coastal areas, strong onshore flow will be ongoing as we go through this weekend. So that's what the pattern change here is going to be like. Now, looking at 24-hour total snow-Kachura ratio, there is that polar low moving down across the Intermountain West. But watch what happens as we go through this weekend. 24-hour running total. Look at some of the central Cascades of Washington, maybe the North Cascades, kind of getting targeted there with the strong onshore flow as we go on in through Monday. So, you know, hikers, backpackers, campers out across the higher terrain as we go through this weekend, watch out for that snow potential. That could include places near Snoqualmie Pass or between Snoqualmie and Stevens Pass and up towards the North Cascades there. So heads up for that. Now, if we look at 2-meter max temperature for today, Seattle 63, but nice warm day out there, pretty nice conditions. And we go through Thursday, we bump those temperatures up a bit. Look at Friday, you're getting up into the 70s for western Washington, western Oregon also. But then the big cool down happens on Saturday as we reverse that wind direction. We usher in that cooler air mass across the area. There's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then maybe a bit of a bounce back here as we go through the following week as well. Extended forecast. So I'm just going to kind of show you that we're going to be dealing with this trophy weather. It's not a lot of precipitation, but some of the mountains could be getting some decent snowfall out of that. And then we scroll off in towards next week, and we do get a dry period, it looks like, before maybe another frontal system towards the end of the week. We'll continue to watch that day by day. 15-day precipitation anomaly. You can kind of see that drier than normal as we go on in towards the end of the month. Here we go with the 15-day on the European Artificial Intelligence, below normal signal, nothing too crazy there, but we are dropping off the precipitation amounts as we go through this time of year. You know, our big and bad atmospheric rivers are usually much more infrequent by the time we get on in towards the April and the May month. Now, looking at the next 46 days as well, you can kind of see the big deficit. That doesn't mean no precipitation, but still well below normal. If we go to precipitation total and I scroll it out 1,000 hours, you can still see we're getting some precipitation, but just below normal amounts as we scroll on into the month of May. 6 to 10 day, and you see the below normal there with the trophy, and there's a below normal signal precipitation, kind of mixed bag there, 8 to 14 day, and same thing with precipitation as well. And if we look at 2-meter temperature anomaly, so you can kind of see how we do warm up Thursday, Friday. You can see that warmth right there across western Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, but then the trough starts to swing through as we go through the weekend, and you can see the temperatures drop off to below normal conditions, and then next week maybe we'll bounce back a bit here, and then who knows what's going to happen off into the future. We'll continue to watch that, but you can see kind of see a warm signal here across much of the west. Yeah, we'll skip that for today. But yeah, there is our ridge right there, backdoor cold front, and then the cooler temperatures do arrive this weekend. So if you can get out there and enjoy Thursday and Friday, and honestly today for a lot of Seattle and Portland and places west of the Cascades and even eastern Washington, Oregon, it's going to be quite nice here for the next 3 days or so. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.